Today I thought we'd do a build video because everybody seems to be doing them. I am not the best builder in the world. This isn't going to be an ultimate guide on how to solder or anything like that. But I've got some good pieces. I've got a nice setup that works together really well. So I'm going to show you how I put it all together. Okay. First up, let's take a look at the hardware. So what we've got here is the Armattan Rooster frame. I've painted these bits with a little bit of red accent on the side. It's nothing crazy, it's just a Sharpie, like an oil-based Sharpie, and the base plate I've done all the way over. So that's going to match the red 3D, these are the 3D printed accessories, these are from Brain 3D. This is a antenna mount, so this is a mount for an Axii VTX antenna and also your little straws for your radio. And that's what these are for. These are just little antenna guards for the little antennas that come off your receiver. Okay, we've got these little motored skids. These are really cool. Rotor Riot quad skids they're called. Basically just sit underneath your motors, and then you don't need the little sponge pieces. And they also let you slide along concrete if you are in car parks and stuff and you want to do skids on landings. The camera is a Runcam Eagle 2. Not just because it's red, although that was one of the main reasons, but also because it does have better low light than the Swift. And in the UK, which is where we are, it's often very overcast and very miserable. Propellers, we got the DalProp 5046 Cylcones. Love these, best props I think. Tried a lot, and these are my sort of favorite. They're really good right down the middle, and red, obviously. T-Motor F40 Pro 2, and no surprise, they're in red. So all of this gear together is really nicely color coordinated. It looks really cool together, all red and black. Electronics, we got, what have we got here? Yeah, the TBS Unify Race HV. Really good, really nice VTX. Everybody swears by it. I use the MMCX connectors. I think those are just the perfect sort of mix between SMA and UFL. And they're really easy to superglue if you need to make them stronger. The RXSR FrSky receiver, and for the ESCs, the GS30 from Spedix. This flight controller is the most important part of the build, and it's also absolutely amazing. It's basically this brand new sort of dual core flight controller with an F4 and an F3. That makes your gyro cleaner. I don't know, there's some magic, but it uses Butterflight instead of Betaflight, which is cool as well. Yeah, I recommend it. I've used two before, so this will be the third one of these that I've used, and it's awesome. Extras, toothbrush, don't know why that's there. Battery straps, obviously, need a couple of those. Heat shrink for the ESCs. Good, decent double-sided tape. I think this is some automobile grade shit. And box of spares, very important to have lots of spare bolts and things because probably going to screw some stuff up. Now, like I said, I'm not going to do much soldering in this build. This is just more going to be just putting the pieces together and seeing how these things are made. If this is the first time you've ever tried to build a quad, you should probably go and watch someone else. Otherwise, enjoy. This really fun part of the Armattan Rooster is these two little pieces. They're kind of like the mounts for the kind of bits that sit over the arms, kind of like a support thing. They need to use these little tiny, what do they call them, press nuts or something? I can't remember what they're called, but they look like these tiny little, you probably can't even see it, tiny little silver things. And the idea of these is you have to get them in to these little holes, but they have to be so tight that they just don't go. You can't push them in, so you have to use some kind of tool. This is my tool of choice for this thing. It's very delicate. Okay, right, let's go then. Don't worry, this floor's fine. It's totally done this before. You don't want to hammer too heavily because you might delaminate the carbon, but you can see that one's in there. That's pretty cool. Oh, and don't worry, these pieces are symmetrical, so if you just do them either side, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you do them all in the same side, obviously. If you don't have a hardwood floor, just be careful on your mum's kitchen worktop. There we go, 6 press nuts in 6 holes. So these 4 in the middle, these 4 are where the flight controller goes, and these other ones are for the arms. You can already see the front is here, because these little indents here, these are where the titanium frame goes. So you know which way the front is. Okay. So also the little arms have a little dent as well, so you can line those up with the titanium frame and it'll all look super nice. Okay, so those go there. These go here. It's kind of like Lego at this point. And there you go, that's it. This thing sits on there, hold those in place. This thing sits on the front, hold those in place. Oh yeah, another thing, in the version 2 of the Armattan Roosters, you get these little squares. Now what these are is they are, I think they call them bolt savers, but basically they sit between the 2 arms because in the first version they didn't have them and the arms were like, obviously, the arms are mounted like this, and then if something took damage there was nothing to stop it like moving in apart from the bolts. So that was it, you were just your bolts would just be sheared off by the carbon, so that happened quite a lot. Happened to a few of mine, but then they also replaced them with better bolts as well. So version 2 has these things that sit in the middle of 2 arms. So they sit like this, and then there's literally nowhere for the force to go if the arm gets hit. The carbon will take all of the force, and the carbon is really fucking strong. So that's why those exist. Broke 1 arm without them, and 1 arm with them, so I don't think it really matters. I just break a lot of stuff because I'm really bad, but I enjoy it a lot. So you might notice I don't really have a very good desk, a very good bench. I definitely don't have a shop. I'm just sitting in my front room. It's probably obvious from the sofa behind me. But yeah, you don't need a huge workshop. Obviously it'd be really nice if I had a dedicated space for all this stuff, but I don't. So you just gotta roll with what you got. And what I have is computer desk with a maintenance mat on it. Right, underneath, go through. One thing to note with these stoppers is they're not square. They actually have one side bigger than the other. It's really not clear when you look at it. It looks like a complete square to me, but there is one side that's slightly longer, and it should be pretty obvious when you put them in. Actually, I don't even know if it would be obvious, but anyway. Let's screw. You see, they all have this little groove in, so all the legs are made the same, just for cost benefit at the factory, and it means that you can replace any leg with any leg. So, are they legs or arms? Maybe the back ones are legs and the front ones are arms. Anyway, yeah, so don't worry about these little grooves, they don't do anything on the back. Arms, legs. There is one issue I found with the screw stoppers is they do actually give you less space, because sometimes having a little gap underneath the between the arms and this top piece can actually let you run a cable through. So like you could put your camera signal and power cables through there, and that would be really neat. But if you do put these in, then you just have a solid block, so you can't put cables through. Is that a problem? I don't know. I don't think so. You can still find ways to sort out your wiring without them. I haven't tried with this random painted bottom piece before. I just was messing around yesterday, and that's why the bottom plate is all red, just because I was just procrastinating yesterday and just messing around. Should have been doing something serious, but it was just, well, I don't really know why, but I was just like colouring in. Like a small child, I was just colouring in pieces of carbon. Because that's all it is. It's not even painting really, because you just use these these Sharpie, I don't have any down here. You just use these Sharpie oil-based markers, so it literally is just colouring in. Let's just do the final tightening of all these things. Well, I mean, you can see what it looks like now. It looks like a quad, right? Oh shit! It looks like a quad now. Like I said, I break things a lot. Don't even have to be flying. Okay, so there we go. There's the beginning of the Sync FPV Rooster Red and Black. Sick ass build. It's looking pretty cool. I mean, it's just a frame with some arms at the moment. Well, as we've decided, 2 arms and 2 legs. It's kind of not really worth doing anything else on this until you started fitting the electronics. So for that, we need to get our 4 biggest screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stick the 4 screws through, turn it over. There we go. Now you've got a little thing to mount your flight controller on. So what you will get with the Rooster is you'll get these nylon standoffs. So these are pretty cool. They're like little tiny pieces of nylon that just fit over these things, and they're threaded so that you have to screw them all the way down. And it gives you a lot of clearance off the bottom from your carbon. Flight controllers are all pretty good these days, to be honest. I started out with the CL Racing F4, so I was spoiled. I didn't have to go through any kind of, of the old Naze 32 days or any of that stuff. It's all just straight to the good stuff. There he is. What a beauty. And hey, guess what? It's red. Has to be red, right? I mean, even the flight controller matches the color scheme. Soft mount your flight controllers. Always use these little things that you get with most flight controllers these days. These like little rubber grommets. And you have to put those into each corner of one of these. And then you can just sort of like suck that onto the screws, and you don't really need to screw them down. You will want to put these little nylon nuts over the top, but just don't screw them down too hard, or else you'll ruin the point of soft mounting. As I said already, I'm not going to do any soldering in this video, or maybe a tiny bit, because I'm super bad, and I will give you, if you're watching this for any kind of tutorial purposes instead of just entertainment, then I'm sorry. And yeah, let's not do that. Let's just say, go watch Joshua Barbell or someone else who's like knows what they're talking about, or just watch any of the Rotorite builds. Those are much better, and they'll give you lots more advice. I just wanted to do one because everybody's got to have one build video, right? Okay, so with that in mind, with that janky ass set in mind, I'm going to use this, which is this is going to be my cheat code. So instead of soldering everything, I've actually got here's one I made earlier, kind of flight controller with the 4 ESCs already on it. Looks like a little man. So this is the same equipment. It's the GS30A Spedix ESCs, Helio Spring FC, and the T-Motor F40 Pro in red. Now I've already mounted the TBS on this, and then running an Axii antenna straight through the back there. And then I've shortened down the little antenna tubes that you saw at the start. So with the shorter antenna tubes, that's about the right length for the R-XSR ones, because they're a little bit shorter than the other ones. So that is how that's all going to sit together. This thing is just double-sided taped to that, and then this is super glued. So I've super glued the Axii to the MMCX connector. I don't know if that's a good idea. I kind of like it if someone told me if that's a good idea or not. I haven't had any problems, and this has taken some fucking big, heavy crashes. And it's still fine, and the reception seems to be fine. But yeah, I'd like someone with a little bit more authority to tell me if that's a good idea or not. Okay, so this is the back. Yes, this is the XSR. This is for the VTX. Okay, so you want to mount your motors and your ESCs on each arm. I have 2 motors that I need to solder. So let's do that now and get it out of the way. I actually don't even have a power supply for the soldering iron handy, so I'm using this XT60 thing, so you can power it off a LiPo. So I'm going to do that. But just to be even safer, because safety is a priority, I'm going to connect it to a voltage alarm as well, just because I don't know what the level of this battery is. So you know these little things, they are little sort of LiPo testers, I guess you call them. But they go up to 6S, no 8S I think. And you just plug the balance cable into them and they're really, really loud. Ah, Jesus. It tells you the voltage right here, 16.7, so we got loads. And then you can set a voltage for it to alarm. So if I set it to 3.8, then I know if I leave this plugged into the soldering iron, which will probably have other bigger problems, like my house burning down. But if I did that, then this would beep with such insane volume that there is no way that I could miss it. Now we have some lights from above. This is gonna make the video look really unprofessional. I mean more unprofessional. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like it was really professional already. Hopefully there's charm in it. Hopefully there's charm in the unprofessionalism. I don't know what I'm talking about now. Let's solder 6 joints and then you can all decide that I should leave this hobby forever and never solder again. Okay, here we go. Glasses on, because I am shit. Okay. All the soldering's done. All 6 things. I had to do it twice because I forgot to put the heat shrink on both times. So let's shrink the heat shrink. If you don't have a heat gun, you can do it with a lighter. I just do not trust myself with an open flame, and you wouldn't trust me with an open flame either. I promise. Okay, cool. So that looks cool. Right, I'm just putting the little motor soft mounts on now. So yeah, these serve 2 purposes. These are the Brain 3D. Actually, all of this gear is from Brain 3D as like a kit. You get this little bumper for the front. You get 4 of these little feet things that go on the motors, and they're not just soft mount. They're also a lot of decent protection and the little aerial mount. So these are all from Brain 3D, and they come in a kit, like a Rooster accessory kit, whatever. It's really cool. So I brought 2 of them, obviously. Buy 2 of everything. Okay, let's put the little feet on, and then we can actually screw down the motors, I think. Yeah, screw down the motors. Double-sided tape down the ESCs, and then it's going to start looking pretty cool. Decent double-sided tape. This is some automotive grade stuff. At least that's what it said on Amazon. So a bit on the back, like that. Hope you can see, yeah, a bit on the back like that. Alright, the ESCs are down into their final resting place. They still might explode. Right, so I'm going to screw the motors down. I've got these really cool, I brought these from like some motorbike shop. They're M3 2.5. They're the normal bolts, but they're 8mm, so it's perfect for a motor with like the quad skids on. Because if you do get these, they add another 1.5mm to the size. And so motors and a 3mm frame is like 6mm normally, the bolts. So with the extra 1.5 from the quad skids and an extra 0.5-ish for the soft mount, 8mm is perfect, and they're red. Getting there, getting there. Okay, so next I think I'm gonna put the titanium frame on so that we can mount the camera. I'm gonna get my friend trusty hammer. I'm gonna be really gentle because I don't want to mark it too much because the titanium looks badass. I'm just trying to recommend that it go down a little bit. Once you can get to the hole, you can stick a driver in there and just sort of wedge it in. And you know it's on when you get all the way through. You see? Like that. And you know you're on. Now you're on point then. Lovely. Now these go straight through all of the carbon and the titanium frame, and the titanium frame on the other side is threaded, so that holds everything together really nicely through there. Look at that. So the back piece is use these two little standoffs that they have on the Armattan Rooster. So these are kind of, they're like a little bit of the back. They just sort of sit on here, and it kind of lets you do a lot of, it's quite flexible, because it just basically gives you a hole between the top plate and the bottom plate, and then you can do what you want with that. And the nice thing is I use this, one of these, which is the Brain 3D thing, and that fits just perfectly. What I'll do now is actually fit the camera. Put this thing in, which is a little standoff that goes in between the metal frame, titanium frame. So let's find the standoff screws. I think they're these ones. They look nice. There he is. He's got a face. Okay, it is actually getting pretty dark in here now. So we've got the top plate with the lipo foam on it. It's got some little carvings in it that I used to use zip ties, and I used to carve them into the plate. I'm not doing that this time, so I might replace the sponge. I do have a spare, remember? 2 of everything. I'm going to use this. I just found a little piece of something. I don't know what it is. But it'll do. Because it's here. The good news is this is double-sided. Oh god, it's strong. So you can see how we've done that now. We've mounted that just above the VTX on the top plate. Let's do this one first then. It's not gone well. There we go. And then this one. Oh, I don't know which way around it goes, do I? How would I? There we go. Okay. Wire sandwich. Cool. I'll put these through. So the XSR antennas go into the little red tubes. Your antenna array kind of set up, and the assembly is done, more or less. These two, because yeah, I think it's cool at the bottom is all these sort of round screws. It just looks nicer, and they are sturdier as well. And there he is. Scrappy is back. So that's the build complete. I guess we have to test it now. I haven't tested any part of this at all. It's still the old flight controller, which was working totally fine, and I did try it on the 5-volt rail. I haven't tried it with HV yet, with a battery, so that should be interesting. By interesting, I mean it might explode. Jesus, always use one of these. This is a smoke stopper. I don't think, I've definitely had to use these in the past. I've had problems. Things have gone boom. Let's see. Nothing's gone boom. All right. That was success. Come on. Is it done yet? Right, it's the next day. Little man is finished. Scrappy, V3, 4, 5, I can't remember yet. Just gonna tighten the, we'll just tighten the jubbies, the thingies, and take him out to the field. I'm still waiting on 2 batteries to charge up, but we've got plenty. We've got like 8 packs, so let's give him a good little test and let's see how he flies. It's coming on. Nearly there. That was fun. I crashed, obviously, it's me. But yeah, seems the quad is in good shape. Probably will up the rates a bit, felt a bit sluggish. Prop washy, probably gotta sort out fillers. I don't know. Did notice I'm not on the right firmware. I thought I was on 3.5, but I'm on 3.3. So that's why it was feeling a bit weird today. Yeah, GoPro was a bit shaky though, lots of jello. I think that might be just the bad ND filter choice. It was a lot brighter of a day than we usually get here. So here's what happened. Yeah, 1 prop, 2 props damaged. No real surprise. But this ESC took a prop hit as well, so I don't know if that's gonna hold up. Camera feed went like completely dead as well. So might be just the camera needs rebooting, or it might just be solder popped out. We will see. All right, thank you for tuning in and watching this ridiculous build. And thanks for hanging out. It feels just more like we're hanging out than me showing you how to build stuff. Just chatting, yeah, it's good. All right, bye-bye.